a ser mañana. Thank you, God, that He's the same today as He was yesterday, as He will be tomorrow. Y hoy les tengo algo. Tengo un verso que escribió Moisés. So I want to share something with y'all. It's a verse that was written by Moses, actually. Este verso Moisés lo escribió como hace 1000 años antes que Jesús estuvo en la tierra. So about 1,000 years, a little over 1,000 years before Jesus was on the earth, Moses wrote this verse. Let me read it to y'all. It says, "Understand therefore that the Lord your God is indeed God. He is the faithful God who keeps His covenant for 1,000 generations and lavishes His unfailing love on those who love Him and obey His commands." Y en español dice, "Conoce pues que Jehová tu Dios es Dios, Dios fiel, que guarda el pacto y la misericordia a los que le aman y guardan sus mandamientos hasta 1000 generaciones." So if you think about it, we are part of that 1,000 generations. Si lo piensan, nosotros somos partes de esas 1000 generaciones. Because even though that was 1,000 years before Jesus came, 3,000 years later today, God is still faithful. Aunque eso pasó, aunque Moisés escribió eso hace 1000 años antes de que vino Jesús, 3000 años después, aquí en este día, Dios todavía es fiel. So let's sing to Him. Vamos a cantarle por ser fiel. Let's sing together, God. I'm calling on the God of Jacob, whose love endures through generations. I know that You will keep Your covenant. I'm calling on the God faithful God. You're the same God. You're the same God. Lord, I need you now. You're the same. You're the same. Captives, then you're freeing hearts right now. You are the same God. You are the same God. You touch the lepers, and I feel your touch right now. You are the same God. You are the same God. You never change. Never change. Lord, I need you now. You're the same God. You're the same God. And I need you now. I'm calling on the Holy Spirit. Almighty river, come and fill me again. Let that be your story tonight. Come and fill me again. Sing, come and fill me. Come and fill me again. Guys, can take your seats now.
Hi guys, how's everyone doing today?
Mike.
Oh, mic's not working.
Brown mic. Okay. Hola, ¿cómo están?
Is it working now?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Hi guys, how's everyone doing today?
Hola, ¿cómo están, chicos? ¿Cómo están?
I'm so happy to be back here. I think it's been like 2 months since I've been in JCO.
Me encanta de regreso aquí. Creo que han sido 2 meses desde que vine a JCO.
So it's always nice to be back with everyone, and I'm really happy.
Y siempre es genial estar aquí con todos. Soy muy contenta.
Alrighty, so we are starting a new series today. It is called How to Friend.
Ok, hoy comenzamos una nueva serie que se llama Cómo, amigos.
And so I want to do a quick activity. So pull out your phones.
Quiero
If
hacer
you
una
have a
actividad
phone.
rápida. Saquen el celular.
You're going to go on Google,
Van a ir a Google
and you're going to search how to.
y van a buscar how to.
And you're going to see what pops up on the autofill.
Y vamos a ver qué resultados tienen.
Okay, and then whatever pops up, just start like calling it, naming it. Alan, I see your face smiling.
Y a
What's
ver, ¿qué
happening?
encontraron? Dinos. Díganos cuando encuentren
How to
algo.
what?
How to kiss.
How to kiss.
Hola, besos.
How to what? How to get a skydiving
No,
license.
paracaídas.
How to what? How to train your
¿Cómo entrar
dragon.
tu dragón? Algo, ¿verdad?
Anybody else? Yes. How to play.
Jugar.
Bella. How to get.
¿Cómo me deshago de los piojos?
Yes, Amy. How to.
¿Cómo borrar una cuenta de Instagram?
Ooh, anybody else? Anybody else? Yes.
How to get free Robux.
Oh, okay.
¿Qué digo?
How to get free Robux?
¿Cómo conseguir Roblox gratis?
So, okay.
Roblox.
Alrighty.
Okay.
So, this is, I wanted to start off with this because we use Google for everything, right?
Quería comenzar con eso porque nosotros usamos Google para
We
todo.
literally go on Google and we see what pops up with us.
Literalmente siempre lo hacemos y vemos que nos dice Google.
And I remember, so I went to Europe a month ago,
Hace como un mes fui a Europa
and I had to go on Google because I went to Europe with one bag,
Y tenía que ir a Google porque cuando fui a Europa llevaba una mochila.
But when I came back from Europe, I came back with 3 bags.
Pero cuando regresé tenía 3.
And so I had to search up I searched up how to add another checked bag on the American Airlines app.
Pero y busqué cómo puedo agregar una maleta más en el app de American Airlines.
So this is just another example of how much we use Google, right?
Y es un ejemplo de cómo usé Google.
And it pops up a lot of autofills.
Y había muchas opciones que se llenaban automáticamente.
But one of the things it doesn't autofill is how to friend.
Pero algo que Google no te recomienda es cómo hacer amigos.
How to be good friends.
Cómo ser un buen amigo.
How to make friends.
Cómo hacer amigos.
How to keep friends.
Cómo mantener amigos.
How to change friend groups.
Cómo cambiar grupos de amigos.
How to lose a friend.
Cómo perder amigos.
How to be a Christian friend.
Cómo ser un amigo cristiano.
How to make Christian friends.
Cómo hacer amigos cristianos.
And how to be friends with non-Christians.
Y cómo ser amigo con no cristianos.
So knowing how to friend is difficult, right?
Y saber cómo hacer amistades es difícil.
Friendships take a lot of work.
Las amistades toman trabajo.
They're relationships.
Son relaciones.
But that's why we are going to talk about in this series how to friend.
Y es por eso que en esta serie vamos a hablar de cómo amistad.
Because you think it's easy,
Porque creen que es fácil,
but honestly it's not.
pero en realidad no.
So growing up we weren't taught how to friend.
Cuando crecimos nos enseñan cómo ser amigos.
They teach us how to tie our shoes.
Nos enseñan cómo amarrar los zapatos.
Maybe once you're older we get taught how to make coffee.
Ya que crezcas quizás te enseñan a hacer café.
But anyways, our friendships are usually formed by default.
Pero en realidad las amistades que tenemos generalmente se forman al azar o porque sí.
And what I mean by this is maybe the friends groups that you have is based on what you do on a daily basis.
Y lo que quiero decir es que los amigos que tienes probablemente son formados por lo que haces día con día.
Maybe you like to sing and play guitar.
A lo mejor cantas y tocas la guitarra.
You're going to hang out with people that like to do the same things, right?
Vas a probablemente salir con gente que hace lo mismo.
Maybe you like sports. You're a sport type of person.
Quizás eres un deportista, te gustan los deportes.
You're going to go join some people that like volleyball, basketball.
Vas a pasar con gente que le gusta el voleibol, el básquetbol.
Maybe it's arts and crafts.
A lo mejor para ti es arte y manualidades.
Whatever the case may be, right?
Lo que sea.
But the thing that we do know is that friendships are hard.
Pero algo que sí sabemos siempre es que las amistades son difíciles.
The reason that is because things are always changing.
Y la razón es que las cosas siempre cambian.
Maybe you move to a new school.
Quizá cambiaste de escuela
Maybe you switch classes.
o cambiaste de clase.
You take up a new hobby.
Tienes un hobby nuevo.
And the people in your life just keep changing,
Y la
right?
gente en tu vida continúa cambiando.
Another thing is you're not always sure where you stand with your friends.
Otra razón es que tú no siempre estás seguro de dónde estás con tus amigos.
Sometimes it seems like you're left out of text threads
En ocasiones sientes como que te dejaron fuera de un grupo de texto
or Snapchat groups,
o un grupo de Snapchat,
or you don't get a voice in making plans,
o no te hacen caso cuando hacen planes,
or nobody invites you places.
o no te invitan.
And that's kind of sad, right?
Y es triste, ¿no?
Or sometimes expectations aren't always met.
O en ocasiones las expectativas no las alcanzamos.
Your friends don't do the things you want them to do.
Tus amigos quizá no hacen lo que tú quieres que hagan.
They don't connect with you enough during the week.
Quizá no conectan suficiente contigo durante la semana.
Maybe hang out with you during the weekends.
O pasear contigo en el fin de semana.
Or even remember the small important details.
O quizá no recuerdan los detalles pequeños e importantes.
So when it comes to friendships, we all tend to focus on what we're not getting from the people in our lives.
Y cuando hablamos de amistades, nos enfocamos generalmente en lo que no recibimos de la gente en nuestra vida.
And we wonder why that is, right?
Y nos preguntamos por qué.
So we're going to go look in the Bible.
Así que vamos a ir a la Biblia.
And just to reference the Bible, there's 2 parts of the Bible.
Y mientras hablamos de la Biblia, quiero decir que hay 2 partes en la Biblia.
There's the Old Testament and the New Testament.
El Antiguo Testamento y el Nuevo Testamento.
And in the New Testament, we're going to look at one of the 4 Gospels.
Y en el Nuevo Testamento vamos a ver uno de los 4 evangelios.
One of those Gospels is the book of John.
Uno de los evangelios es el libro de Juan.
And at one point, John writes about a very serious moment in Jesus' life.
Y hay una parte en la que Juan escribe de un momento muy serio en la vida de Jesús.
In this part, it took place right before Jesus would be arrested and sentenced to die on the cross.
Esto ocurrió después, inmediatamente después de que Jesús fuera arrestado para ser crucificado.
And while his disciples had no idea what was about to happen,
Y los discípulos no tenían idea de lo que iba a pasar.
Jesus knew what was coming.
Pero Jesús sabía que iba a ocurrir,
because he was all-knowing.
porque él sabía todo.
And with that in mind, Jesus gathered all of his friends and he had one last meal together.
Y con eso en mente, Jesús junto a todos sus amigos y tuvieron una última cena.
And you could have probably thought, man, why didn't Jesus like think, what would these friends want from me?
Y bueno, quizás tú te preguntes, Jesús, ¿por qué no dijo, qué quieren mis amigos de mí?
If Jesus knew that he was going to die, he was expecting his friends to defend him, right?
Digo, a lo mejor si Jesús sabía que iba a morir, él podía estar esperando que sus amigos lo defendieran.
He was probably thinking, dang, are my friends going to prove that they are my real friends?
Estaba pensando, ¿mis amigos realmente van a probar que son mis amigos de verdad?
So instead of being reactive, Jesus was actually proactive with his friends.
Pero en lugar de ser reactivo, Jesús fue proactivo con sus amigos.
And we're going to look at John chapter 13, verses 4 through 5.
Y vamos a ver Juan 13, 4 y 5.
It pops up. Next slide. Oh, is it not coming? Maybe. Oh, there we go.
Sorry.
Okay, well, I'll read it from here and then once it pops up. So it says, so he got up from the table, took off his robe, wrapped a towel around his waist, and poured water into a basin.
Así que se levantó de la mesa, se quitó la túnica, se envolvió la toalla alrededor de la cintura y echó agua en una placana, que basin es como una cubeta.
Then he began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with the towel he had around him.
Luego se puso a lavar los pies de sus discípulos, secándolos con la toalla que tenía alrededor.
So I want you to picture this for a second.
Así que quiero que tú lo imagines.
Okay, so back then, people walked on their bare feet all the
En
time.
el pasado la gente caminaba descalzo todo el tiempo.
Imagine walking on your bare feet.
Imagínate caminar descalzo.
You did not have some fancy shoes, right?
No tenían zapatos fancy.
They walked on sand,
Caminaban en arena,
dirt,
tierra,
pebbles,
piedras,
rocks.
piedras, no digamos.
Their feet were dirty.
Sus pies estaban sucios.
And washing someone's feet was a job typically done by a servant or a house guest.
Y el lavar los pies era generalmente una tarea para un sirviente.
Or someone in lower position would wash the feet of someone in a higher position.
Generalmente hay una posición más baja, le lavaba los pies a alguien con una posición más alta.
So you would think that the disciples would have washed Jesus' feet, right?
Así que tú esperarías que los discípulos lavaran los pies de Jesús.
But no,
Pero no,
he didn't do that.
no pasó así.
Jesus washed their feet,
Jesús lavó sus pies,
knowing that he was going to be betrayed.
sabiendo que después se iba a ser traicionado.
So he took that first step, right?
Así que él dio ese primer paso.
He did it for them to model the kind of friend that he wanted them to be to other people.
Él lo hizo para darles un ejemplo del tipo de amigo que él esperaba que ellos fueran con otra gente.
In fact, in a different gospel written by Luke,
De hecho, en otro evangelio por Lucas,
he records Jesus saying something that's some pretty good advice that we should all take in.
él menciona a Jesús dando un consejo que deberíamos escuchar.
It says, do to others as you would like to do to you.
Y es el haz a otros como esperarías que hicieran contigo.
In other words, Jesus is saying that when it comes to relationships, we need to be proactive.
Jesús dice que cuando hablamos de relaciones ocupamos ser proactivos.
We need to treat our friends the way we wish they treat us.
Ocupamos tratar a los demás tal como quisiéramos que nos trataran a nosotros.
But let's be honest, this is difficult to do sometimes, right?
Pero honestamente es difícil de hacer.
We're reactive people.
Somos gente reactiva.
We're selfish people.
Somos egoístas.
We are self-centered people.
Y nos gusta pensar solo en nosotros.
We expect others to do things for us first.
Queremos que los demás hagan cosas por nosotros primero.
So usually we take the opposite approach, right?
Y generalmente hacemos lo opuesto a esto.
We respond fast to how people make us feel.
Realmente respondemos rápido a lo que la gente nos hace sentir.
But if you really think about it,
Pero si lo pensamos,
we can agree that's not the way we want our friendships to work, right?
estamos de acuerdo que así no deberían de funcionar las amistades.
if someone makes us feel angry because they aren't meeting our standard,
Si alguien nos hace enojar porque no cumplen con nuestro estándar,
then we're going to be angry with them.
vamos a enojarnos con ellos.
Or if someone leaves us out of the group chat,
O si alguien nos saca del grupo de chats,
or someone doesn't text us back,
o no nos responde,
or if someone doesn't Snapchat us back,
o no nos manda un snap de regreso,
oh, we're going to be petty about it, right?
nos vamos a hacer chiflados, no sé.
And this is how our world reacts, right?
Y así es como el mundo actúa.
Because we're humans.
Somos humanos.
It's part of being in this world.
Es parte de vivir en este mundo.
So I'm going to tell a little quick story.
Así que voy a contar una historia pequeña.
So when, I have two best friends.
Tengo dos mejores amigos.
They're non-Christians,
No son cristianos,
but they've been with me since I was a little girl.
pero han estado conmigo desde que yo era una pequeña.
One of them is my cousin,
Una es mi prima
and the other one I met her in elementary school.
y a la otra la conocí en la primaria.
And they've been there for me from highs to lows.
Y han estado conmigo en las altas y en las bajas.
And so I mentioned I went to Europe this summer, right?
Y bueno, les conté que yo fui a Europa en el verano.
And I was expecting my friends to text me or at least call me when I was there.
Y yo realmente esperaba que mis amigos me mandaran textos o me llamaran,
But they didn't.
pero no lo hicieron.
And I was just trying to like pass that. I was like, oh, maybe I was just trying to make any excuse possible, right?
Y yo estaba haciendo, dando excusas a eso.
And so when I came back,
Y cuando regresé,
they didn't text or call me when I returned.
tampoco me llamaron o me textearon.
And I was going to make the first move, but I was like, no, they're kind of treating me kind of bad right now.
Y yo iba a dar el primer paso, pero dije, ay, no, me están tratando mal.
Maybe they don't care about me anymore.
A lo mejor ya no les importa, yo no les importo.
And so I kind of started having a cold heart.
Y empecé a tener un corazón frío
I started to react.
y reaccionar.
And so during this, I felt very alone.
Y a través de ese tiempo me sentía muy sola.
And so I just decided to step away from everything.
Y decidí alejarme de todo.
And so I just had some alone time with me and God,
Y tuve un tiempo a solas con Dios,
some intimacy with God.
privacidad con Dios.
And during that time, when I just stepped away from everything,
Y en ese tiempo, cuando me alejé de todo,
being distant from everyone,
alejándome de todos,
God spoke to me.
Dios me habló.
And I remember just Him saying these specific words.
Y recuerdo que me dijo esas palabras específicamente.
He said, although you think your friends don't need you,
Aunque tú creas que tus amigos no te ocupan,
they do,
sí lo hacen,
because they are in need of me.
porque me necesitan a mí.
I say this because I mentioned they're not Christians, right?
Y lo digo porque yo mencioné que no son cristianos.
They might say they're Christian,
Puede que digan que son cristianos,
but they don't have a relationship with God.
pero no tienen una relación con Dios.
And I reflected on who Jesus is
Y mientras yo reflexionaba en quién era Jesús
and what Jesus was telling me at that moment.
y lo que Jesús me estaba diciendo en ese momento,
And I realized that, hey, I need to be proactive.
me di cuenta que, ok, ocupaba ser proactivo.
And this is what God calls us to do. He calls us to be proactive.
Y eso es lo que Dios dice que hagamos, que seamos proactivos.
Just imagine who Jesus is, guys.
Piensa en quién es Jesús.
He puts others before Him.
Él pone a otros primero.
I remember the specific part in the Bible where it talks about how Judas, one of His disciples,
Recuerdo una parte de la Biblia en la que él habla acerca de Judas, uno de sus discípulos.
completely betrayed Him.
Y Judas lo traicionó por completo.
He sold Him off like that.
Lo vendió.
And just imagine how, like, Jesus washed His feet
Imagínate, Jesús había lavado sus pies
before that even happened.
antes de que esto pasara.
And it makes me realize, like, hey, people are going to betray you.
Y me doy cuenta que, bueno, la gente te va a traicionar.
People aren't going to be there for you at times.
Quizá no siempre van a estar contigo o para ti.
But we need to be proactive because that's what Jesus calls us to do.
Pero ocupamos ser proactivos porque es lo que Jesús nos dice que hagamos.
Back to the story, I ended up just being the bigger person and just saying, hey, what's up?
Y bueno, volviendo a la historia, yo terminé siendo la persona más adulta y les dije, hey, ¿cómo están?
We ended up just hanging out again
Salimos a pasear
because it reminded me that, like, hey, they're in need of Jesus said they're in need of me.
Y recordé que, bueno, Jesús dijo que ellos me ocupan a mí.
I don't know what God has planned for their lives,
Yo no sé lo que Dios tiene planeado para su vida,
but I know that God is working through me for them to be able to reach Him.
pero yo sé que Dios está trabajando a través de mí para alcanzarlos.
And this reminds me of, like, Jesus could have made all of his friendships about Him, right?
Y bueno, piénsenlo, Jesús pudo haber hecho que todas sus amistades fueran acerca de Él.
He was the ringleader.
Él era el jefe,
He had the highest status of the position.
tenía el estatus más alto de todos.
He could have used his power to do anything,
Él pudo haber usado su poder para hacer cualquier cosa,
but instead he served.
pero Él sirvió.
Which brings me to the next point,
Lo que me trae a este punto.
is being a friend means serving your friends.
Ser un amigo significa servir a tus amigos.
So I want you to think about the people you are surrounded with, your friends that you surround yourself right now.
Quiero que pienses en tus amistades que te rodean hoy en día.
Do you have non-Christian friends?
¿Tienes amigos que no son cristianos?
Do you spend a lot of time with your Christian friends?
¿Pasas mucho tiempo con tus amigos cristianos?
I know some of you guys went back to school, right?
Sé que algunos volvieron a la escuela,
Maybe you're making new friends.
a lo mejor hiciste amigos nuevos.
And we're always going to be making new
Y
friends.
siempre vamos a hacer amigos nuevos.
And I want you to think about the friends that you surround yourself with.
Y quiero que hoy pienses en las amistades que te rodean.
Maybe you hang out with your Christian friends all the time,
A lo mejor siempre estás con tus amigos cristianos.
but God has put you some non-Christian friends there,
Pero
sprinkled.
Dios te ha dado amigos no cristianos.
And maybe you're not doing your part in reaching them.
Y quizá tú no haces su parte en alcanzarlos.
Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you're hanging out with non-Christian friends.
Quizá es lo opuesto. A lo mejor te la pasas con amigos no
And
cristianos.
maybe God's calling you to make a difference in their lives.
Y Dios te habla de que hagas una diferencia en su vida.
Whatever the case may be, think about the people that you surround yourself with.
Pero cualquiera que sea la situación, piensa en quién te dio Dios y con quién te rodeó Dios.
Second part, listen to your friends.
Como segunda parte, escucha a tus amigos.
Sometimes it's hard for us to listen
En ocasiones es difícil escuchar,
because we're reactive people.
porque somos gente reactiva.
We want things. We want things for ourselves.
Queremos cosas para nosotros.
But have you ever sat down and just listened?
Pero en ocasiones hay que sentarnos y escuchar.
Just listen to your friends.
Escucha a tus amigos.
Listen to what they need.
Escucha lo que ocupan.
Instead of talking about you,
No solamente hables acerca de ti,
listen what their problems.
escucha sus problemas,
Listen to the small details.
los detalles pequeños.
Listen to what they have to say.
Escucha lo que tienen que decir.
Because when you listen,
Porque cuando escuchas,
it comes a long way.
eso significa mucho.
And then the third one is pray for your friends.
Y en tercer lugar, ora por tus amigos.
So I think it's super important that, sometimes we have friends here,
Yo creo y considero que es importante tener amigos aquí.
but we also have friends that are distant, right?
Y también tenemos amigos lejos, ¿verdad?
I think about the people that used to come to JCO,
Me viene a la mente la gente que solía venir aquí a decir.
and I also think about some that have left.
Y pienso en la gente que se fue.
And I realize that maybe they don't come here often anymore.
Y me doy cuenta que ya no vienen seguido.
But I can make a difference in just texting them
Pero yo puedo crear una diferencia mandándoles un texto
or calling them
o llamándolos
or to let them know, like, hey, I was thinking about you.
y decirles, oye, pensé en ti.
Or also something that's super, I know it affects me, but when someone texts you and say, like, hey, I'm praying for you.
Algo que por mí funciona o me afecta es cuando alguien me dice, oye, estoy orando por ti.
Just think about that. Think about what a huge difference that makes.
Date cuenta qué diferencia tan grande hace.
What do you want maybe you're having a very hard day,
A lo mejor tienes un día difícil
right? And then your phone pops up with a text message.
y tu teléfono de repente te llega una notificación
And it's from a friend.
de un amigo
And saying, hey, I'm praying for you, or hey, I'm checking up on you.
y que te dice, oye, estoy orando por ti, oye, quiero ver cómo estás.
Wouldn't that make you feel kind of like good inside?
¿No te sentirías bien?
And that's what God calls us to do, is to pray for our friends too.
Dios quiere o nos manda a hacer eso, a orar por nuestros amigos.
Pray for our friends that are here, that are close to you,
Los amigos que están aquí cerca
but also those that have distant ways.
y también aquellos que están lejos.
Okay, and so I wanted to end with something, with another short little story.
Y me gustaría terminar con otra historia corta.
That during my time as I was just reflecting through being distant and whatnot,
Durante ese tiempo en el que yo me la pasé pensando alejada de la gente,
I remember what it meant to be proactive.
pude recordar lo que significaba ser proactivo.
In terms of a relationship or a friendship, what it meant to be proactive.
¿Y qué significaba ser proactiva en una relación?
So, this story is about a friendship that I cherish a lot.
Esa historia es acerca de una amistad que yo valoro mucho.
So back in 2019, I just got out of high school,
En 2019 yo estudié la prepa
and I was trying to figure out where I wanted to go to college.
y yo quería encontrar a dónde iba a ir a la universidad.
And I was a big theater girl. I wanted to go to an acting school,
A mí me encantaba el teatro, quería ir a una escuela de actuación.
and I thought that's where God was calling me to go.
Y yo creía que Dios me está llamando a ir a actuar.
But I was also fighting with God telling me that no, April, like I need you here.
Y también al mismo tiempo estaba yo peleando con la idea de que Dios me decía, no, Abril, yo te ocupo aquí.
And so I was just like, okay, God, where do you want me to go?
Y yo estaba confundida, Dios, ¿dónde quieres que vaya?
And the reason was because I didn't have enough funds to go off to college.
Y bueno, no tenía yo el dinero para ir a la
And I
universidad.
didn't know where the money was going to come
Y
from.
no sabía dónde iba a venir el
So I was
dinero.
stressing out.
Así que me estaba
I was
estresando.
overwhelmed.
Estaba estresada.
But I just prayed about it.
Y oré.
And so what I did was I ended up just going to community college.
Terminé yendo a Community College
And it was honestly the best decision that I made for myself.
y la verdad es que fue la mejor decisión que pude hacer.
Because later on I received a phone call from a scholarship foundation
Porque después recibí una llamada de una beca
saying that they were going to pay for my whole year.
diciendo que iban a pagar por todo mi año.
And then they ended up paying for my whole 2 years there.
Y después pagaron por mis 2 años.
And that was honestly the transition where I knew God was just so faithful.
Y me di cuenta en ese momento que Dios era fiel.
And God wanted me to be obedient and share that blessing.
Y Dios quería que fuera obediente y que compartiera esa bendición.
And so I made a video
Así que hice un video
about that testimony.
acerca de el testimonio.
And guys, I was so scared.
Y tenía miedo.
I was so scared to share that.
Tenía miedo de compartir.
I wasn't the type to just share my faith like that up.
Realmente yo no compartí mi fe así nada más.
Especially just from a video.
En especial en un video.
What if people judge me?
La gente me va a
What
juzgar.
if, I don't know, someone thought it was funny?
Quizá que le da risa.
Whatever the case may be, right?
Cualquier cosa.
So I decided to just be obedient.
Pero decidí ser obediente.
I posted it,
Y lo publiqué.
and wow, guys, so many people just reached out and said how they were affected by that.
Y fue increíble cuánta gente me comentó que los afectó ese video.
Because it made me realize, and it made them realize, like, hey, I'm not the only one going through this.
Porque me ayudó a mí y a ellos a darse cuenta que no somos los únicos pasando por esto.
And so I received this specific DM,
Y recibí este mensaje privado.
and I didn't know this person followed me,
Ni siquiera sabía que me seguía.
and I didn't know I followed him.
Y no sabía que la seguía.
And so I read the DM,
Y leí el mensaje.
and the guy just poured onto how it impacted what I posted.
Y ese chico realmente me dejó saber cómo mi post lo había impactado.
And after I read what he said,
Y cuando leí lo que dijo,
I started crying
me puse a llorar.
because I didn't know what impact I made on people.
Porque yo no sabía el impacto que había logrado tener en la gente.
And so later on, we started making small talk.
Después seguimos platicando.
And then I realized that, hey, it'd be cool if he came to JCO.
Y me di cuenta de que, oye, estaría padre que viniera jóvenes.
And so I invited him to JCO.
Y lo invité a
It was
jóvenes.
during the pandemic too, so we were wearing masks.
Era en la pandemia, teníamos máscara.
And he came.
Y vino.
And so when he came, I was really happy. He started interacting with people.
Cuando vino, yo estaba contenta de que pues, se platicó con gente.
And after that, he started coming for a little bit,
Después vino por un rato.
but then he left.
Después se volvió a
He
ir.
stopped coming,
Dejó de venir.
but I never stopped being proactive.
Pero nunca me detuve en ser proactiva.
I just started sending him like, hey, we have college nights or en español services.
Les mandaron le recordaba que, oye, tenemos noche de college o servicios de domingo
or JCO services.
o jóvenes,
He would come
venían
and sometimes he would go.
y a veces se iban.
And then I just remember during that whole season, I never stopped reaching out.
Y recuerdo que fue una temporada en la que no dejé de buscar.
And wow, what a difference did that make, right?
¿Y qué diferencia logró?
Because he started coming.
Porque comenzó a venir
He started coming every single Saturday.
todos los
He
sábados,
started going to Sundays services.
domingos.
He's part of the worship band.
Ahora está en la
And
banda
he's part of the worship band in
y
Espanol.
la banda de domingo.
He started being a team leader.
Es un líder de jóvenes.
He did a small group with one of our immerse groups.
Tiene un grupo pequeño en el grupo de inmersión.
He was a team leader at our JCO retreat.
Un líder del equipo del retiro.
He started just watching him. He just started also at the JCO retreat. He prayed over everyone.
También en el retiro lo pude ver orar.
And I shared this because I witnessed what God is doing through his life.
Y comparto eso porque yo puedo ser testigo de lo que Dios hizo a través de su vida.
And wow,
Y wow.
I see how God is just working through him and what a difference he's making.
Y puedo ver cómo Dios lo usa para hacer una diferencia grande.
And I share this because when we're proactive, guys,
Y lo quiero compartir porque cuando tú eres proactivo,
you never know what God has planned.
tú nunca sabes lo que Dios tiene planeado.
And I want you guys to just think about that.
Y quiero que pienses en esto.
I want you to think about the people that you're surrounded with.
Quiero que pienses en la gente que te rodea.
Believe it or not, God put you those people for a reason.
Lo creas o no, Dios puso a esa gente ahí por una
There's a
razón.
purpose.
Tiene un propósito.
And my prayer for you guys is that you just be proactive instead of reactive.
Y hoy oro que tú puedas ser proactivo en lugar de reactivo.
Because I could have just, if he left,
Porque bueno, imaginemos que cuando él se fue,
I could have just stopped contacting
y
him.
pudo haber
Right?
dejado de buscarlo.
But no, when we're proactive,
Pero no, cuando eres proactivo,
you never know what a difference he'll make.
tú nunca entiendes la diferencia que vas a lograr en un futuro.
And I just think about like what Jesus or what God is thinking is witnessing when we're proactive upon each other.
Imagínate todo lo que Dios puede ver cuando tú y yo somos proactivos con los demás.
Please pray with me.
Vamos a orar.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for today.
Padre nuestro, gracias por hoy.
Thank you so much for this new series that we're starting off today.
Gracias por la nueva serie que comenzamos hoy.
God, you know where our friendships are at with people.
Dios, tú sabes dónde están tus amistades.
You know what's good for us and what isn't.
Tú sabes lo que es bueno para nosotros y lo que no es.
You know, sometimes we do need to stray away from friendships that are toxic.
En ocasiones hay amistades que ocupamos alejarnos porque son tóxicas.
But remind us that we need to be proactive.
Pero recuérdanos que ocupamos ser proactivos.
Remind us why you died on the cross for us.
Recuérdanos por qué tú moriste en la cruz por nosotros.
Remind us what Jesus did before he was sentenced to die on the cross.
Recuerda lo que Jesús hizo antes de ser sentenciado a morir en una cruz.
Remind us that he washed his disciples' feet,
Recuérdanos que Él lavó los pies de sus discípulos,
knowing that he was going to be betrayed.
sabiendo que lo iban a traicionar.
What is servant?
¿Qué ejemplo de servidor?
Allow us to remember that when we're proactive,
Permítanos recordar que cuando somos proactivos,
when we're serving others,
cuando servimos a otros,
when we put others first,
cuando ponemos a otros
when we
primero
reach out to others,
y buscamos a los
when
demás,
we just keep on being obedient to you, Lord.
cuando continuamos en ser obedientes,
That
a ti,
although we don't see what you're doing in that moment,
aunque no podemos ver en el momento lo que tú haces,
we know that your works are wonder
sabemos que tus trabajos son increíbles,
because you're a promise keeper,
porque tú cumples tus promesas,
because you are a miracle worker,
porque tú haces milagros,
because you are the light in our
porque
darkness.
tú eres la luz en la oscuridad.
And we know that with you,
Y sabemos que contigo
anything's possible.
todo es posible.
And we love you, Lord.
Y te amamos, Dios.
Thank you so much for your Son.
Gracias por tu Hijo.
In Jesus' name we pray.
Oramos en el nombre de Jesús.
Amen.
Amén. ¿Sigo el micrófono?
It's okay.
Ok.
Wow, who missed April?
¿Quién nos tenido a mí? México.
She was in London.
Se fue a Londres.
Anyways, hey guys, yo
Okay.
soy Lily.
Ok, chicos, I'm Lily.
Yo sé que hay unas caritas nuevas el día de hoy.
I know there are some new faces here.
Pero antes de que vayamos a small groups, vamos a decir bye a los que nos acompañaron en línea.
But before we go to
Thank
small
you.
groups,
See you next
we
Saturday.
say bye to people online. See you next weekend. Bye.
Anyways, estoy súper emocionada por nuestra nueva serie,
I'm excited for this new series
porque creo que es una buena serie para empezar con el nuevo año escolar.
because I think it's a great series to start the new school year.
Muchos de ustedes ya empezaron la escuela o ya van a empezar la escuela el lunes.
Those of us, or of you, already started school or will be starting school
Y
soon.
creo que todos sabemos qué tan difícil es hacer amigos como que el primer día de clases.
And I think